no matter what the file is, Mr. Speaker. It's, the opposite of Midas. Midas turned things into gold. This government does the exact opposite of that. There's a problem with this government, Mr. Speaker, when it comes to being accountable to the people that they represent, Mr. Speaker. And this problem, nobody understands why. It's their job to be accountable to people, Mr. Speaker. And every time we ask for a report, every time we ask for accountability, they stick their head in the sand like ostriches, Mr. Speaker. This government is shameful when it comes time to be accountable to people.
Statements by members. Déclaration de député. The honourable member for Kitchener-Conestoga.
Thank you, Speaker. As the vibrant colours of autumn signal the end of harvest, I want to take a moment to recognize the incredible farmers in Kitchener-Conestoga and across our country whose dedication helps feed us all. From the fields of Wellesley and Wilmot to the barns and greenhouses of Woolwich, farmers work tirelessly, feeding our families, fueling our economy, and stewarding the land with care and resilience. While the fall harvest marks a seasonal milestone for many, the work of farming never truly stops. Whether it's planting, caring for livestock, or managing operations, our farmers continue their vital work year-round. So to all our farmers, thank you for your hard work, your resilience, and your deep care for the land and for us. You make Kitchener-Conestoga proud, and you make Canada strong. Thank you, Speaker.
The honourable member for Bruce Grey, Owen Sound.
This weekend, the Billy Bishop Museum hosted the 25th annual honoring our local veterans ceremony. To date, 230 local veterans have been honored. This year, 11 brave men and women were recognized for their service and sacrifice. From World War I, Private Percy James Barber, wounded at Vimy Ridge, Lance Corporal Arthur Simpson Martin, MM, with the RCD. In World War II, the following were killed in action: Private Benjamin Roy Askew, Sergeant Howard Arnold Jones, Lieutenant James Russell Martin, Private Leslie McGregor, and Flying Officer Howard Weaver. Those that served but returned home: Corporal Margaret Ruth Ellis in the RCAF Women's Division, and Sergeant Major William Alexander Spears of the Perth Regiment. More recent veterans: Warrant Officer Alan Johnson of the RCR with tours in Kosovo and Afghanistan, and Chief Warrant Officer Chris Palu from the Gray and Simcoe Foresters with tours in Croatia, Sierra Leone, and Afghanistan. Our veterans are incredible men and women who have served our country and deserve to be remembered for their sacrifices and contributions to Canada. Pro Patria, unless we forget.
The honourable member for Vancouver Quadra.
I have a lot to celebrate this year, but my family came together in mourning over this summer. My 91-year-old uncle, Gordon Grant, passed away, who was the oldest member of our family, and he comes from a unique background. My grandfather, Hong Tim Hing, immigrated from China. My grandmother, Agnes Grant, was a Musqueam member, and he was the first mixed Chinese Musqueam person in our community. At the age of 20 years old, he became the father to my dad because their father passed away, who I never got to meet. And he's a man I know I firmly stand on his shoulders today. I wouldn't be who I am today without his strong will, his strong determination, and being able to raise 5 children of his own. He allowed me to be proud to be a Canadian of Chinese ancestry. He allowed me to be proud to be a Canadian of Musqueam ancestry, and he allowed me to be proud to be a Canadian. So we would all be better off with much more Uncle Gordys in this country.
The honourable member for Terra Nova, the Peninsulas.
Mr. Speaker, whether it's the farmers struggling with the canola trade, steel companies facing tariffs, or auto workers losing 3,000 jobs to the USA, it seems like all these Liberals are doing is helping Trump build the wall on trade barriers. But these Liberals never mention the trade barriers that on our sealing industry in Newfoundland and Labrador. Seal overpopulation in Atlantic Canada is killing our ecosystem. According to the DFO, the sustainable harvest amount is 250,000, yet only 30,000 are being killed each year. Here are the facts. Each seal are eating 11 pounds per day. Collectively, they eat 9.7 billion pounds per year. The entire Atlantic fishery only lands less than 2.5 billion pounds. We need to restore balance in our ecosystem. We need to feed Canadians. We need a Prime Minister who will remove this global trade barriers for seal harvesters in our country.
The Honourable Member for Beauport-Limoilou. Mr. Speaker, at the occasion of Women's Month, I would like to pay tribute to the extraordinary and often silent contribution of an exceptional woman. Born during the Second World War, she raised her 7 children while working every day on the family farm in the lower St. Lawrence region alongside her husband. Despite demanding and exhausting days, she found the strength and courage to serve on the board of directors of a large insurance company for more than 26 years, from 1986 to 2012. I need not remind you that at that time, women on the boards of large corporations could be counted on the fingers of one hand, and it's only recently that her children fully realized that with remarkable discretion but unwavering determination, their mother had helped advance the place of women in an egalitarian society. This woman's name is Huguette Veilleux. Mother, I'm proud to be your son.
The honourable member for Calgary-Nose Hill.
Lately, there's been a lot of terse words said about Canadian-American relations, so today I'd like to try something a little different. For generations, Canada and the U.S. have shared the world's longest undefended border, fought together on the battlefield against evil, maintained strong trade ties, and joined our nations through marriages like mine. The peace, freedom, and prosperity we have shared has helped to bring stability to the world. To continue, we must each safeguard our economies and societies through smart policies, strong militaries, robust protections for our democratic institutions, and frankly, by seeking to understand the complexities that each of our nations face in our hopes and challenges. So I'll do my part by saying to Master Sergeant Jeffrey Scott Garner Sr., I love you, my husband, a proud American to the core. Thank you for loving me as I stand for my people while also providing me with important perspectives about your nation. May we all continue to strive for prosperity and peace between our nations. The free world is counting on us to get it right.
The honourable member for Sydney Glace Bay.
Mr. Speaker, I rise to recognize Colton Ellis of River Denny, Cape Breton. Recently, Colton made his NHL debut with the Buffalo Sabres, where he turned aside 26 shots, earned his first NHL win, and was named the first star of the game in Buffalo's 4-2 victory over the Red Wings. Colton's rise from Cape Breton local rinks to the NHL speaks to his incredible determination and incredible talent, and to the community that's been there behind him day one. He's showing young athletes across Cape Breton anything is possible. So on behalf of all Cape Breton fans, I extend a heartfelt congratulations to Colton and his family. We're proud of you, and we'll be cheering for you every step of the way.
The honourable member for Bellechasse, Les Aides-Chemins-Lévis. Mr. Speaker, at the occasion of the 125th anniversary of the Desjardins Group, it is an honour for me, as a resident of Lévis, to pay tribute to Alphonse and Dorimène Desjardins, founders of what would become the largest cooperative financial group in North America and one of the largest private employers in Quebec. The first credit union, the Caisse de Lévis, was established in December 1900, and it was there that 132 people signed the founding social pact. Since then, Quebecers' attachment to this institution has never wavered. With some 7 million members and a presence in every region, Desjardins is now a key player in Quebec's economic development and also an important player elsewhere in Canada and beyond our borders. I would like to pay tribute to the vision of Alphonse and Dorimène, their enduring values of justice and solidarity, and all the employees who over the decades have made Desjardins a cooperative that inspires immense pride. I also salute Mr. Denis Dubois, President and Chief Executive Officer of Desjardins Group, who is currently in Ottawa. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The Honourable Member for Mirabel. Mr. Speaker, this year we're celebrating the 125 years of a true source of pride for Quebecers, namely the Desjardins Group. Founded in Lévis in 1900 by Alphonse Desjardins, it was the Quiet Revolution before the Quiet Revolution. At that time, when English-speaking banks were turning their backs on French Canadians and loans were wreaking havoc that were usurious, Alphonse Desjardins drew inspiration from the European cooperative model to create a credit union by and for the people. Over the years, credit unions have enabled our people, farmers and workers to access credit, in addition to participating in the birth and growth of several local flagships, such as SICO, Vachon, Cascade, and Cirque du Soleil, of course. Today, Desjardins is deeply rooted in our regions, villages, and towns. It's a symbol of collective determination and success that reflects the entrepreneurial spirit of Quebecers. Mr. Speaker, on behalf of the Bloc, I invite this House to join me in wishing the Desjardins movement a wonderful 125th anniversary. I raise my glass to their anniversary and to another 125 years at least, Mr. Speaker. The Honourable Member for Longueuil-Saint-Hubert. Mr. Speaker, on October 17th, the 27th edition of La Nuit des Sans-Abris in Longueuil was held under the theme of Solidarity for Greater Dignity. Organized by the Table Itinérance Rive-Sud, this annual event brings together citizens, organizations, and institutions to raise awareness about the reality of homelessness, break down prejudices, and promote solidarity. I would like to commend the exceptional work of the volunteers, community partners, and individuals. And I'd also like to thank the people who shared courageously and humanly their experiences. Their commitment reminds us that no one should be left without a roof over their head. Homelessness is not inevitable, but it requires compassion, collaboration, and action. Together, let us build communities where everyone can live with dignity. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
The honourable member for Calgary-Crowfoot.
Mr. Speaker, after 10 years of this Liberal government, Canada has gone from having, quote, the world's most prosperous middle class, unquote, to a country of empty bank accounts, empty refrigerators, and unaffordable homes. That's why Conservatives demand an affordable budget, one that cuts the hidden taxes on food like the industrial carbon tax, plastics ban, and fuel regulations, one that cuts taxes on work, housing construction, investment, energy like income taxes and capital gains tax, and that stops the inflation tax, the cruelest tax of all, Mr. Speaker, by keeping the deficit under Justin Trudeau's staggering $42.7 billion and by reining in its out-of-control spending on bureaucracy, outside consultants, false asylum claimants, and especially on corporate welfare. This government has chased $500 billion investment dollars out of Canada and has taken Canada to the bottom of the G7 and the OECD in per capita growth. That's why Conservatives demand that the budget contain a complete reversal of the lost Liberal decade and one that puts Canadians first.
Hear, hear. The honourable member for Guelph.
Speaker, visiting Ottawa today are two remarkable individuals who founded the University of Guelph's Serving Scholars Program, Dr. John Walsh and Lieutenant Darren Sargent of Guelph's 11th Field Regiment. For 8 years, Serving Scholars has provided academic accommodations and experiential learning opportunities while fostering a campus culture that values military service. It enables Canadian Armed Forces members to stay in the Reserve Force, grow professionally, and gain knowledge that strengthens both their military careers and their academic success. Serving Scholars reminds us of a simple truth. Those who wear the uniform can also wear the cap and gown, because those who serve our nation deserve every chance to succeed in the classroom. On behalf of the Parliament of Canada, I thank Dr. Walsh and newly promoted Lieutenant Sargent and all past and current students who have served and studied through the Serving Scholars Program. Your dedication to Canada in uniform and in the classroom and in the community makes us very proud. Thank you for your service. Merci pour votre service.
Thank you for your service.
The honourable member for Kitchener Centre.
Mr. Speaker, affordability in Waterloo Region has never been worse. Since 2019, monthly visits to Canada's food banks have more than doubled. In Waterloo Region alone, 1 in 8 families are currently accessing food assistance programs just to feed their families, while they're spending $13.50 a month on groceries alone, all while housing rising is increasing. Yet the Liberal government has failed to deliver. Promises were made, but the supports have never come. Let me quote the Prime Minister. "We will need to do things thought impossible at speeds we haven't seen in generations." This was during the election. Let me quote him now. "It's going to take some sacrifices, and it's going to take some time." Canadians have sacrificed enough. We need leadership that listens, acts, and empowers. It's time to stop rewarding delay and start demanding results. Because in Waterloo Region, unaffordability isn't just a talking point, it's real.
The honour for Ottawa, Vanier, Gloucester.
Mr. Speaker, I pay tribute to a remarkable citizen who worked here in the House of Commons as a stenographer, Mr. Alphonse Desjardins. It was while attending House debates that Mr. Desjardins became aware of the problem of access to credit, and he undertook extensive research on a cooperative model. Through his research and interactions with several European cooperators, he adapted this model to the Canadian context and created the first credit union. Over the past 125 years, the Desjardins Group has become the largest financial cooperative in North America, and we owe a debt of gratitude to Alphonse and Dorimène Desjardins, who left us this indispensable movement. Desjardins stands out in North America for its financial strength, high capitalization, and unwavering commitment to its 7.8 million members and clients across the country. I would also like to welcome Mr. Denis Dubois, the new President and Chief Executive Officer of Desjardins Group, and I wish you another 125 years of building the future.
The Honourable Member for Long Range Mountain.
Speaker, more than 2 million visits were made to food banks in March. Twice as many Canadians needing help to eat than in 2019. In a nation as rich in resources as we are, this is unacceptable. Nearly 1 in 5 people who turn to a food bank are employed. They go to work every day and they still can't afford groceries. 1/3 are children. Seniors are showing up in record numbers. Food banks are doing everything they can, but they're being pushed beyond their limits. They're spending more than twice they did just a few years ago to keep shelves stocked. Recent reporting shows grocery prices in Newfoundland and Labrador rose about 4% last year. That may sound small, but for families already stretched thin, it means they go without.
That's right.
In Stephenville, Catherine told my office she buys only what's on sale. Fresh fruit is a luxury. She grows vegetables so she can eat. She does everything right and still falls behind every month. The time for action is now. Canadians deserve more than excuses.
The Honourable Member for Scarborough-Agincourt.
October is Women's History Month, and it's not over yet. Join me in celebrating all the amazing women and girls across the country. Women past and present who have made groundbreaking discoveries in medicine, pioneered innovations in AI, championed in public service, and so much more. On this side of the House, we invest in women's prosperity. We have contributed $7 billion through the Women's Entrepreneurship Strategy to support over 400,000 women in launching and scaling up their business. On this side of the House, we invest in women's safety. We contributed over $539 million through the National Action Plan to end gender-based violence, to better protect women and end the cycle of violence. And on this side of the House, we invest in women's leadership. Women make up 40% of our Liberal team in Parliament, and we have the largest women's caucus in Canadian history. We know that when we invest in women, Canada thrives.
Bravo!
Oral questions, questions orales, the Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
Banque Alimentaire Canada.
Food Banks Canada has published its report on 2025, their final report, and they report a 100% increase in the number of people needing food bank assistance since the Liberals took power. Last year, 39% experienced food insecurity, 53% skipped meals, 34% spent a whole day without eating, and 82% of households were not able to get enough food because of the Liberals' inflationist prices. How many more meals are Canadians going to miss because of this Prime Minister's upcoming budget? The Honourable Government House Leader. Food Banks Canada reports on 4 main factors to help solve the hunger problem in Canada. It's a lasting problem, and it requires a huge battle to overcome. There are people with disabilities, there's health, there's dental care, there's food school programs, and the National Housing Strategy. Those are all programs that they voted against that will help. And they've voted against every initiative we've undertaken to support the disadvantaged. The Honourable Opposition Leader. Food Banks Canada, I'll paraphrase what they said, that it took decades to get 1 million people in the lineup for a food bank, but only 5 years to get up to 2 million clients in the lineup. So after 10 years of Liberal rule, there are now 700,000 children using food banks. The Liberal programs just feed bureaucracy, not children. Are they going to force Canadians to sacrifice even more now? The Honourable Secretary of State for Children and Youth. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I know that Canadians are dealing with challenges, and that's why the government is investing in Canadian families to help them get ahead. Thanks to the school food program, which we are making permanent, we will alleviate some of the pressures on Canadian families, also through dental care, our child care program, and the Canada Child Benefit. These are essential measures to ease the pressure on Canadian families. The Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
Released its report today, Hunger Count 2025. Showing the number of Canadians relying on a food bank has more than doubled since this Liberal government took office. It shows that 39% of the population experienced food insecurity, 82% did not have enough to eat, 34% went an entire day without eating, 53% missed a meal to afford something else, 28% went hungry at least once a week. Now the Prime Minister says Canadians will have to make even more sacrifices. How many meals will Canadians have to sacrifice for yet another costly Liberal budget?
The Honourable Government House Leader.
Mr. Speaker, the Leader of the Opposition is good at throwing all of this stuff out. What he's not good at is reading what the groups on the ground actually have to say. Of course there are too many people living in poverty in Canada, but there are significant initiatives being put in place by this government, opposed by this Leader of the Opposition and his party, systematically evoked in the report from Food Banks Canada today, Mr. Speaker. We support these key assistance programs for Canadians. He votes against them and then dares to get up and criticize us for putting in place support for the weakest Canadians.
The Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
Mr. Speaker, their programs do not feed kids. They feed bureaucracy, consultants, lobbyists, and Liberal insiders. And if you want to question that, 700,000 kids are lined up at food banks every single month. And let me quote from the report. It took decades to reach 1 million visits in any month, and it has now taken half a decade to more than double that. These are not outliers. This is Canada's new normal. The more government spends, the more things cost. How many meals will Canadian kids have to sacrifice for yet another costly Liberal budget?
The Honourable Secretary of State for Children and Youth.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. In fact, Canada's largest food bank in Toronto, the Daily Bread Food Bank, is asking that the National School Food Program be made permanent through legislation. And we are delivering this. They're asking because the program helps provide nutritious meals to 400,000 children at school. The Conservative Party voted against this. The members opposite will soon have an opportunity to do the right thing for their constituents and make school food permanent. We urge them to do so.
The Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
Speaker, these Liberal programs feed bureaucracy, lobbyists, consultants, and insiders, but they don't feed kids. Yes. Children cannot eat Liberal press releases or Liberal photo ops. Mothers cannot fill shopping carts with Liberal boasting. Canadians need food, and right now, after 10 years of this Liberal government, there's now 2.2 million Canadians lined up at food banks. 700,000 of them are kids, and a third are in families where they work, but their paychecks are vaporized by Liberal taxes and inflation. How many meals will Canadians have to sacrifice for the next costly Liberal?
The Honourable Minister of Housing and Infrastructure.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Well, the Leader of the Opposition seems to flat out ignore the fact that this government is focused on affordability. We are focused on affordable housing, which the reports outline as a critical driver for affordable food. We are taking action, Mr. Speaker. We look at the trajectory we are on right now. Mortgage rates are coming down. Average rents are coming down, according to the Parliamentary Budget Office. We're seeing progress, but we're not stopping there, Mr. Speaker. Build Canada homes will be in this budget, $13 billion that this opposition can vote for affordable housing in.
The Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
Their focus is affordability. Mr. Speaker, here are the facts from the Hunger Count report. 78% of food banks had to buy more food than normal because they were running out and not collecting enough donations. 1/4 of food banks actually ran out of food while there are still people lined up waiting for something to eat. We now have nearly 1/3 of Canadians who go hungry at least once a week. This sounds like something out of a Great Depression, and the Prime Minister has the audacity to say Canadians should sacrifice even more. How many meals will his costly budget force Canadians to sacrifice?
The Honourable Minister of Jobs and Family.
By the question of the Leader of the Official Opposition that he will support Budget 2025, where we make the school food program permanent, where we double down on jobs for young Canadians, where we invest in skills training for the skilled trades professionals of the future. Mr. Speaker, I just announced that in the budget, personal support workers will receive a tax credit of $1,100 a year. Mr. Speaker, we are putting money and support in the hands of Canadians, and that's why they trust us, Mr. Speaker.
Yes, the Honourable Member for Saint Jean. Mr. Speaker, just this past weekend, the government blamed the opposition, complaining that there was a lack of support to get the budget passed. But just a friendly reminder, the people elected a minority government. That means the people wanted the government to work with the opposition to come to agreements. The government can come to agreements with the Conservatives or with us or with independent members. So instead of complaining and threatening elections, when are they going to get down to work? The Honourable Government House Leader. Mr. Speaker, of all the criticisms you could make about this government not working, I think not getting down to work is one of the furthest fetched criticisms. Now, there are 44 Quebec members elected on this side of the House who are working pretty darn hard, Mr. Speaker, for their communities and for people in their ridings and to meet the real needs out there in Quebec. The Bloc, it seems to me, is a bit slow to realize this with their 22 members. Yes, the Bloc is a minority. The Honourable Member for Saint Jean. Mr. Speaker, the Liberals don't even know what it means to work together for the common good. What they're saying is vote for our budget even though we have completely ignored Quebecers' needs. And then they're surprised when we tell them they need to get back to work. We're 1 week before November 4th. The Liberals are well aware of our demands around healthcare, seniors, housing, access to home ownership, infrastructure, and the reimbursement of the $800 million stolen from Quebecers. The real question is, do they want our support? The Honourable Minister of Diversity and Canadian Culture. Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and I think I'll call for your assistance because we're having a lot of trouble understanding the Bloc's position. There was a meeting between the Prime Minister and the Bloc and the House Leader and the Finance Minister and myself, and they presented all their demands, and now they're saying they're not going to vote for the budget. So are they willing to negotiate? If so, we are too. But if they're not willing, you can't sit in the middle of two chairs like that. You can't have your cake and eat it too. The Honourable Member for Mirabel. Mr. Speaker, the Liberals met with party leaders about the budget when the budget had already been written. They didn't talk to Quebecers either. There were no pre-budget consultations. No witnesses were heard in committee. After a year and a half without a budget, the Liberals worked on their own without even meeting a single stakeholder from Quebec's socioeconomic communities. And then they're surprised when we tell them they're not meeting the needs of Quebecers. Mr. Speaker, the Liberals know what they need to do to get our support. The real question is, do they really want their budget to pass? The Honourable Government House Leader. Mr. Speaker, Canadians elected a new government 6 months ago. A government with a mandate to undertake major projects in Quebec and outside Quebec to work on the needs of our communities and to move ahead with projects that will create opportunities for our young people all across Quebec and Canada. Mr. Speaker, the question is, will the Bloc trigger an election at Christmas in 2025? Yes or no?
Member for Thornhill.
The Daily Bread
Bread Food Bank and the North York Food Bank in Toronto just released their annual report. It's called Who's Hungry, and it seems like the answer to that question is nearly everyone. 2.2 million visits in a single month. It took decades to hit 1 million and only half a decade under these Liberals to double it to more than 2 million. They found that 82% of households report they didn't have enough food to eat in this year. The majority said it was because of the cost of living. Every dollar that the government spends simply drives up food prices. It's over 4 million visits in Toronto. How many more people do they want visiting next year?
Yeah, way to go.
The Honourable Secretary of State for Seniors.
Mr. Speaker, this government has taken and continues to take real action that supports the people of Canada. We have instituted the National Food Program. We have instituted the Canadian Dental Care Program. We have instituted a number of things that help Canadians, whereas the Conservatives can't be trusted to help anyone. They use this as a speaking point instead of really caring about Canadians and whether or not they have the resources they need. These programs help seniors. They help seniors across the country and ensure that they have what they need to retire with dignity, where the Conservatives push the retirement age higher.
That's a horrible...
The Honourable Member for Thornhill.
Speaker, if any one of those programs worked, there wouldn't be over 700,000 kids in line at a food bank. Make food cheaper. Instead, they doubled the deficit and they sent food bank usage up 360% in 5 years in Toronto. Students make up a quarter of those visits to food bank, and just last week, the Prime Minister lectured them all about making sacrifices. Well, they've already sacrificed home ownership, they've sacrificed good-paying jobs, and now he's asking them to sacrifice food. What will it take for the Prime Minister to make them, or what sacrifices will they need to make to stop this Prime Minister from his out-of-control spending?
The Honourable Secretary of State for Children and Youth.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The report invoked also clearly states that to tackle these challenges, we need to strengthen supports to families. It specifically mentions delivering school food, dental care, childcare, and affordable housing at scale. Conservative MPs have voted against each of these measures. In fact, Conservative MP for Central Newfoundland called the National School Food Program garbage, even though it's already feeding 4,000 kids in his home province. We are focused on solutions and on delivering for Canadian families.
Honourable Member for Hastings, Lennox and Addington, Tyendinaga.
Food banks were meant for emergencies, not everyday survival. Yet more Canadians rely on them each month just to eat. Families are working harder but falling further behind as groceries soar and paychecks shrink. This isn't about generosity, Mr. Speaker, it's about failure. As Food Banks Canada CEO Kristen Beardsley warns, there were 2.2 million food bank visits in a single month. The longer they ignore the reality on the ground, the deeper the crisis becomes. Mr. Speaker, when will this Liberal government realize their inflationary deficits are driving Canadians to the food bank?
The Honourable Minister of Jobs and Families.
Mr. Speaker, I assume the Member of Parliament opposite was listening to my colleague when she was quoting Canada Food Banks about what needs to happen next, which is making the school nutrition program permanent, Mr. Speaker, investing in affordable houses, Mr. Speaker, ensuring that people have the supports that they need to live a comfortable life, Mr. Speaker, including affordable child care and dental care. And, Mr. Speaker, that's what we're going to do, and we sure hope they don't vote against Canadians again.
The Honourable Member for Hastings, Lennox and Addington, Tyendinaga.
We keep sounding the alarm, but it feels like no one on that side is listening, Mr. Speaker. Families are stretched thin and communities are breaking under the weight of rising costs. One food bank executive said it plainly: housing and food costs are the greatest contributors to the increase in our services. Costs for basic living continues to rise while the money coming in does not. When will this government finally hear the voices of Canadians and stop letting hidden taxes, packaging taxes, and the industrial carbon tax drive families to the food bank?
The Honourable Minister of Housing and Infrastructure.
Mr. Speaker, well, again, the member opposite did connect the dots between housing costs and food costs, and that's why this government is so laser focused on affordable housing. And we are seeing action on this.
We're seeing progress to date. We've seen average rents come down across Canada. We're seeing mortgage rates come down. We're seeing home prices come down to make life more affordable. We're cutting taxes for 22 million Canadians and first-time home buyers. All of those measures are delivering results, and we aren't stopping there, Mr. Speaker.
Honourable member for Quebec-Mactaquac.
Mr. Speaker, Food Banks Canada reports 2.2 million visits in a single month, double what it was just 6 years ago. Their CEO says poverty and hunger have become the new normal in Canada. Working Canadians, from construction crews to office staff, are having to stop by food banks on their way home from work. In rural Canada, where food and fuel already cost more and jobs are often seasonal, families are being hit hardest. When will the Prime Minister admit his inflationary deficits are driving Canadians to food banks instead of grocery stores and change course?
The Honourable Secretary of State for Financial Institutions.
Mr. Speaker, it's hard to listen to the party opposite talk about affordability when they voted against every single affordability measure this government has put forward. Whether it's the Canada Child Benefit, whether it's daycare, whether it's the school food program, which is not garbage, whether it's housing. Mr. Speaker, we're focused on making affordability for Canadians. We're cutting taxes for 22 million Canadians. We're cutting the GST for first-time homebuyers. Mr. Speaker, on this side of the House, we believe in supporting the most vulnerable in our society. They don't. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
The Honourable Member for Mégantic-L'Érable-Lotbinière. Montreal is going hungry. That's what La Presse says. It's a gloomy picture of the state of finances of Canadian families after 10 years of Liberal rule. 600,000 people in Quebec depend on food banks, and all across Canada, it's over 2 million people per month using food banks. The trend accelerated after 10 years of inflationary Liberal spending. 33% are children. It's almost 2 times as many. Is the Prime Minister going to call on Canadians to make even more sacrifices? The Honourable Minister. Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. Food inflation is a global phenomenon which is much more complex than the simplistic slogans of the Conservatives. The big difference between them and us is that here on this side, we believe governments should provide support against inflation to help the middle and lower class families. That's what we're doing with our school food program, with dental care, with child care. And this is going to make a significant difference in the lives of Quebecers. The Conservatives, last week, one of them said it was garbage. That's the difference between Conservatives and Liberals. The Honourable Member for Mégantic-L'Érable-Lotbinière. Mr. Speaker, that government claims that they're supporting against inflation, but they're actually creating inflation. And that's why Food Banks Canada's final report for 2025 says that this has become the new normal in Canada, to go to the food bank under this Liberal government. 25% of users have jobs, 8% are seniors, 23% are dual-parent families. What's the Prime Minister waiting for? When's he going to stop the inflationary spending that's pushing more and more Canadians to the food banks? The Honourable Parliamentary Secretary. Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. This report clearly indicates that in order to meet the challenge, we need to strengthen our supports to families, and the Conservatives have opposed every step we've taken to support Canadian families. And in fact, the Conservative member called the program, the food school program, called it garbage. One Conservative member said that. And we, even though Food Banks is calling for us to make it permanent, which we will do, we will continue to support Canadian families. The Honourable Member for Jonquière. Mr. Speaker, on Saturday, Donald Trump announced an additional 10% tariff for our forestry industry. That's in addition to the 10% we've already been paying since October 14th, and 35% countervailing duties that already existed. So that's 55% in tariffs and duties. It's clear Washington wants to crush our industry. We need a rescue plan, including financial support and wage supports to protect jobs. And we need that now. 55%, Mr. Speaker. What more is it going to take for this government to act? The Honourable Minister responsible for Canada-US trade. Mr. Speaker, obviously the government is still open to resuming our trade talks with the Americans, but our colleague referred to certain increases, potential increases to tariffs. I think we need to be careful. Before that's made official, we shouldn't jump to the conclusion that a certain amount of tariffs will be imposed. But we do fully share the members' concern about the future for workers and for the forestry industry. As we are also concerned about other industries, we will continue to support those workers and industries. The Honourable Member for Jonquière. Mr. Speaker, talk is one thing, action is another. The forestry was already at a breaking point before the announcement of new tariffs on Saturday. It's the hardest hit industry by Washington, and yet the financial aid announced by the Liberals in August has still not flowed. Almost 3 months later, there are still no wage supports to protect jobs. There's still no rescue plan. Worse still, Canada has even cut back on measures to boost access to EI. Mr. Speaker, the crisis isn't over. It's only getting worse. When will the Liberals take action to help our forestry industry? The Honourable Minister of Industry. Mr. Speaker, we are activated. We're willing to work with my colleague, who I know has a number of forestry companies in his riding. Financial support is available through the banks, and it's guaranteed by BDC. The system is working, and some benefits have already been paid out. So we are in solutions mode. That said, we know there's more to be done, and we know we have to support the industry and the workers, and we will.
Member for Sherwood Park, Fort Saskatchewan.
Under these Liberals, food prices have gone bananas. They're so bad that 1 in 5 food bank users works full-time. Even people working full-time cannot afford to eat in Canada. Now food banks are feeling the crunch, jammed with 2.2 million visits in a single month, and the Liberals think Canada is ripe for more inflationary spending, rubbing salt on the wounds. When will Liberals stop squashing workers with their inflationary spending and realize that it's time to reverse course?
The Honourable Secretary of State for Seniors.
Food Banks Canada has highlighted the importance of federal government action that is helping Canadians, like the National School Food Program and like the Canadian Dental Care Program. This is helping more than 2 million seniors. We're building an economy that works for everyone. Conservatives have a record of pushing the retirement age higher, cutting benefits, leaving seniors behind. Not again, Mr. Speaker. The Canadian public trusts us, not them. That's why, while they're voting against every measure for Canadians, we're empowering older Canadians and protecting not only their dignity, but their peace of mind.
The Honourable Member for Sherwood Park, Fort Saskatchewan.
Mr. Speaker, these Liberals love to talk about political food programs instead of affordable food. That was the question. Before Liberal inflationary spending and hidden food taxes, Canadians could actually afford to feed themselves. Parents don't want the state parenting their children for them. Parents want the government to eliminate food taxes and stop inflationary spending so they can afford to feed their kids themselves. The Liberal fuel standard, food packaging tax, industrial carbon tax, inflationary spending. Speaker, when will it end?
The Honourable Government House Leader.
A few things that I think need to be cleared up here, Mr. Speaker. They talk about these imaginary taxes. I think the member needs to come clean. There is no tax on groceries. There never will be a tax on groceries. That is pretty clear. They talk about imaginary programs. I assure the member that he has voted against some very real programs, Mr. Speaker, very real programs for school food, for dental care, and many other things that are for the most vulnerable in society. The last thing, though, what is inflationary spending when it comes to supporting Canadians? Canadians want to know, Mr. Speaker.
The Honourable Member for Calgary East.
Every dollar this Prime Minister spends comes out of the pockets of Canadians through higher prices and food inflation. It took decades for food banks to have 1 million food bank users every month. It took the Liberals just 6 months to double that number. This Prime Minister said bet. He's going to double the deficit and make more than 2.2 million Canadians visit a food bank in a single month. When will these guys realize that inflationary deficits are driving up food costs and driving more Canadians into food banks?
Yeah, way to go, Jen.
The Honourable Minister of Jobs and Families.
You know, when the Prime Minister said that it's time for Canada to bet big, he meant bet big on Canadians, and that's something these guys don't understand. They refuse to invest in Canadians, Mr. Speaker. Today I announced that in Budget 2025, $75 million will go to building trades unions to make sure that kids and young people can get great jobs in the skilled trades. These are good-paying jobs, Mr. Speaker. That's what it looks like to bet on Canadians. That's what it looks like to have the backs of Canadians.
Well done. The Honourable Member for Calgary East.
If programs like that actually worked and didn't feed bureaucracy, then 700,000 kids wouldn't be visiting a food bank every single month. And their Liberal deficits are what are making the food go up in cost. That's why grocery inflation is up 4%. People who used to donate and that used to volunteer at food banks are now standing in line for food at those food banks. Why won't these Liberals stop feeding their egos, stop feeding their bloated bureaucracy, so Canadians can finally afford to feed themselves?
The Honourable Minister of Jobs and Families.
So which is it, Mr. Speaker? They're either about empowering Canadians through good-paying jobs or empowering Canadians through the kinds of programs like the school food program. We believe in both, Mr. Speaker, because we're betting on Canadians. We're betting on both their resiliency and their ability to get those great-paying jobs as we create those projects across the country. This member opposite, Mr. Speaker, he doesn't want to invest in Canadians either to support them now or to help them have better futures. So which is it? Which is it that he's asking for? To cut services for Canadians or invest in them? We're going to do both. We're going to make sure Canadians get
The Honourable Member for Saskatoon University.
Hardworking Canadians spend all day at work, and on the way home, they are not stopping at grocery stores. It's food banks. For millions of working Canadians, they have to go to the food banks because they can't afford the hidden Liberal food taxes like the industrial carbon tax and the food packaging tax. Food Banks Canada reports a record-smashing 2.2 million visits in a single month. And donations, well, they're down because Canadians are broke. When will these out-of-touch Liberals admit to driving up the cost of food and driving Canadians to the food bank?
The Honourable Secretary of State for Northern.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. After 10 years of Conservative MPs coming to Ottawa, collectively with 14 of them coming, that's 140 years. And that's the first question we got from the Saskatchewan perspective, Mr. Speaker. In my riding, Saskatchewan is finally here on the government side. We're going to address housing, Mr. Speaker. We're going to address the cost of living. And I'm glad finally the Conservatives from Saskatchewan finally woke up.
The Honourable Member for Avalon.
Mr. Speaker, constituents of my riding of Avalon and the good people of Newfoundland and Labrador were shocked to hear the Conservative member of Central Newfoundland say that the Healthy Meals program, which feeds 4,100, yes, 4,100 or more kids at schools in our province, was garbage. In reality, hundreds of thousands of additional children are being fed at schools across Canada thanks to this government. But I guess it is easier to say you're going to cut a program if you try to make yourself believe that it doesn't exist. Can the Secretary of State please inform my constituents how the National Food
The Honourable Secretary of State for Children and Youth.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and I'd like to thank my colleague from Avalon for his question. In fact, Sarah from Central Newfoundland reached out to tell me about the National School Food Program at their school after her members' comments last week. And I quote, she said, "It's wonderful. More students are getting healthy lunches." And the lunch lady went from part-time to full-time. Plus, they hired 2 nans as part-time. Employment in his area. Mr. Speaker, there are countless examples like this across Canada of kids getting meals thanks to the National School Food Program. We will always be there for Canadian families.
The Honourable Member for Fort McMurray, Cold Lake.
Children are
going hungry in Canada due to Liberal mismanagement. Every dollar this Liberal Prime Minister spends comes out of the pockets of Canadian families through higher prices and food inflation. A third of Canadian children now live in a food-insecure household. Food Banks Canada reports record-breaking food bank use with 2.2 million visits in a single month, and over 700,000 of those visits are children. When will the Liberals realize that their inflationary deficits are driving up the cost of food banks and driving Canadian children to the food bank?
The Honourable Secretary of State.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. On this side of the House, we are committed to growing the strongest economy in the G7 and protecting and strengthening the supports that help Canadian families. The report that is being highlighted here, again, I would say that the relief that families get through the school food program, dental care, child care, these are all things that report cites as critical to addressing the challenges that Canadians are facing right now. This government will always stand with Canadian families. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
The Honourable Member for Fort McMurray, Cold Lake.
If a single one of those projects and programs actually worked, there wouldn't be 700,000 children waiting in food bank lines every single month. This is not okay. And yet somehow the Liberals have normalized this. 9 out of 10 kids aren't even fed by the school food program, Mr. Speaker. When will the Liberals realize their inflationary deficits and hidden food taxes are making food more expensive and driving Canadian children to food banks?
The Honourable Secretary of State.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. No child in this country should go to school hungry. This is why our government brought forward the National School Food Program, and that is why this new government has committed to making this program permanent and introducing legislation to do so, as well as the funding necessary to ensure this program continues in perpetuity. This is an essential piece of tackling the challenges that Canadian families are facing. We are proud of this program. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
The Honourable Member for Battleford, Lloydminster, Meadow Lake.
Mr. Speaker, every dollar the Prime Minister spends comes out of the pockets of Canadians through higher prices and food inflation. Food Banks Canada is reporting 2.2 million visits in a single month. This is double what it was just 6 years ago. Even more alarming, 1 in 3 of those visits is by a child. Their CEO says parents are stopping in at the food bank on the way home from work, not the grocery store. When will this Prime Minister finally admit his inflationary spending and deficits are driving parents to the food banks?
The Honourable Parliamentary Secretary to the Minister of Finance.
Mr. Speaker, years ago, Food Secure Canada did an analysis of all the issues in the food system. Do you know what issue was the most popular among Canadians? Feeding kids. It's instinctual for any parent, but the desire to feed kids extends almost universally to all Canadians, except when it comes to the Conservatives. They've taken the most unpopular position. They actually oppose a national school food program. Their usual excuse is to claim that there's no food in the food program, but last week they actually had the gall to call the food program garbage. Who does that? Who says that, Mr. Speaker?
The Honourable Member for Battleford, Lloydminster, Meadow Lake.
Well, Mr. Speaker, if these programs actually fed the children that the Liberals are claiming they feed, there wouldn't be 750,000 plus children lined up at the food banks every month. Mr. Speaker, it's the hidden taxes like the fuel standard, the food packaging tax, the industrial carbon tax, and rising inflation that are making it harder for families at the grocery checkout. Grocery prices are up 4% overall, with ground beef up 17%, coffee up 28%, soup is up 9%, and those numbers, Mr. Speaker, translate to record numbers of Canadians turning to the food banks to feed their families. When will this Prime
The Honourable Parliamentary Secretary to the Minister of Finance.
Mr. Speaker, while our government invests in feeding 400,000 more kids healthy food in schools, the Conservatives call that garbage. While our government works to expedite major infrastructure projects creating tens of thousands of jobs, the Conservative leader calls them pathetic. While our government gives law enforcement the tools they need to keep our communities safe, the Conservative leader calls the RCMP despicable. The pattern is clear. The Conservatives will disparage people, projects, and programs that help Canadians while we continue to deliver for them.
The honourable member for King Vaughan.
The very people that built this country and taught us the value of hard work while managing our budgets are having to line up at the food bank. Food Banks Canada reports that almost 10% of food bank users are seniors, up 22% from 2019. This Liberal government's reckless spending has driven up prices and left our seniors behind. When will this Liberal government respect our seniors and stop the inflationary spending so that they can live their retirement years in dignity?
The Honourable Secretary of State for Seniors.
This government is the only party in this House that can be trusted to have seniors' backs. We returned the age of retirement to 65 when those folks wanted to push it up to 67. Through this government's actions, we are ensuring that Canadian seniors have access to one of the largest social programs in the country, and that is the Old Age Security and Guaranteed Income Supplement. Through that, we are ensuring, Mr. Speaker, that folks have up to $1,086 per month for the most financially vulnerable seniors. It is things like this that ensure seniors have...
The honourable member for Markham Unionville.
Mr. Speaker, every dollar the Prime Minister spends comes out of the pockets of Canadians through higher prices and through food inflation. Monthly visits to food banks have doubled since 2019, with 2.2 million visits per month. Nearly 10% of food bank users are now seniors. This is up 22%. This reliance on food banks has to become an ongoing necessity to survive. Mr. Speaker, when will the Liberals realize that their inflationary deficits are driving up the cost of food and driving Canadians to the food bank?
The Honourable Minister of Jobs and Families.
Speaker, I think we've covered quite a bit in this question period, but let me remind the opposition that today I was with the SEIU, who represents personal support workers across this country. These incredible, hardworking people who support our family members, our seniors every day under Budget 2025. It proposes that they will receive a tax credit, a non-refundable tax credit worth $1,100 a year. Mr. Speaker, the union fought for this. They asked for this. Promise made, promise kept, Mr. Speaker. And I'll end with this. This is money in the pockets of these workers. I sure hope they're going to support the budget.
The Honourable Member for Richmond, Arthabaska. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, this morning, a baby abandoned in a bus shelter died. It's undescribably sad, and I'm sure that all of my colleagues here in this House join me in hoping that that baby rests in peace. How much must somebody suffer to come to that situation? People are suffering. People are having a hard time getting housing. People are having a hard time getting food. People are losing their jobs. Canadians are suffering, Mr. Speaker. Are the Liberals aware of the consequences of their poor management? The Honourable Minister of Government Transformation. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I think I speak on behalf of all colleagues when we send our sympathy to this tragedy which has affected all of Quebec right now, and we send our sympathy to the family. The Honourable Member for Richmond, Arthabaska. Mr. Speaker, these are facts. This child had a family, and we need to fight, Mr. Speaker. We are talking about our people. We're talking about people in my riding of Richmond, Arthabaska. Use of the food bank has gone up. People created an organization to put food in our kids' lunchboxes. What are the Liberals going to do to help our people eat and feed our children? The Honourable Parliamentary Secretary of State for Children and Youth. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, it's clear that we have a national food program for schools to help kids and to help Canadians meet their challenges. What I have to say is that you'll have the opportunity to support the budget for that program, and I would encourage all members to support the National Food School Program. The Honourable Member for Chicoutimi-Le-Fjord. Mr. Speaker, food banks in Canada have reported a record number of 2.2 million visits in just 1 month. The CEO of Food Banks Canada said, and I quote, "Poverty and hunger have been normalized in Canada. People are stopping at food banks on their way home from work instead of going to the grocery store. Inflationary deficits are increasing the cost of food. Why does the Prime Minister continue to spend more without worrying about people who have nothing to eat?" The Honourable Minister of Government Transformation. Mr. Speaker, I'm always surprised to hear these questions from a party that was ready to sacrifice all kinds of programs that Quebecers and Canadians depend on every day. If we think, for example, about the Canada Child Benefit, the dental care program, the school food program, and Mr. Speaker, I would invite him to come to my riding, speak to people from the Saint Vincent de Paul, talk to people at the United Way, and tell them that it's just bureaucracy that's never helped anybody. I think they need to reconnect with reality on the other side of the House. The Honourable Member for Bourassa. Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. Our government has always been there to help our healthcare workers. These men and women are devoted, and they take care of our loved ones and our seniors every day. My question is for the Minister of Health, Mr. Speaker. Can the Minister please explain how the measures newly announced today, including the tax credit for personal support workers and new support for union training, will help strengthen our healthcare system and better support those who work in it? Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The Honourable Minister of Health. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I'd like to thank my colleague for his question. Our new government is recognizing, training, and retaining those who take care of Canadians every single day. Our new refundable tax credit for personal support workers reaches up to $1,100 per person, recognizes their incredible work. We are protecting workers by eliminating non-competition clauses in the federal sector. We will continue to support the healthcare workers who support Canadians.
Honourable Member for Kenora-Kiiwetinoong.
The Prime Minister told a room full of students that they're going to have to make sacrifices. They've already given up their dream of home ownership. They went all summer without work, and they are paying the price of exploding food costs, Mr. Speaker. Food bank visits have doubled since 2019, and Canadians shouldn't have to sacrifice any more for Liberal failures. They have sacrificed enough over 10 long years. So will the Liberals finally keep their promises and get spending under control so that young Canadians can afford to feed themselves?
The Honourable Minister of Jobs and Family.
Mr. Speaker, today I announced another $75 million into skilled trades training in partnership with unions across this country. And you know why, Mr. Speaker? Because Red Seal trades are great paying jobs, and we need individuals all across this country to build the homes, to build the projects, to build the infrastructure. And Mr. Speaker, we know that unions can get the job done. And these great paying jobs, Mr. Speaker, is what youth have to look forward to as we build Canada strong together.
The Honourable Member for London Fanshawe.
Mr. Speaker, the Prime Minister told a room full of students that they're going to have to make sacrifices. This includes students at Fanshawe College in London. But young Canadians have already sacrificed enough for over 10 long years.
That's right. Yeah.
They've sacrificed the dream of home ownership. They've paid the price as food costs exploded. They've spent the summer without work. Food Banks Canada reported that monthly food bank visits have doubled since 2019, reaching over 2.2 million. Nearly 1 in 5 people using food banks have jobs, but they still cannot make ends meet. Their CEO warned that poverty and hunger are being normalized in Canada. When will the Liberals stop breaking promises so hungry Canadians can afford to feed themselves?
Hear, hear. The Honourable Secretary of State for Financial Institutions.
Mr. Speaker, while the party opposite leader and that party are clearly out of control. We're focused on this side about what we can control. And we are going to make generational investments to change our economy from reliance to resilience. On November 4th, Mr. Speaker, we're going to table a budget that is going to invest in Canada. We're going to build Canada because we believe in Canada, Mr. Speaker. Thank you.
The honourable member for Terra Nova, the Peninsulas.
Mr. Speaker, food bank usage has doubled in the past 6 years, now with over 2 million usages per month. 1 in 5 of those people are actually employed. Even more alarming is that 1 in 4 of those food bank users are from 2-parent households. Young people in this country are doing everything right, and they still can't live because of this liberal inflation. Instead of asking young Canadians to make more sacrifices, why can't this Liberal government sacrifice their ego and stop their inflationary budgets?
The Honourable Minister of Fisheries and Oceans.
Mr. Speaker, I want to remind another colleague from Newfoundland and Labrador in the opposition that school nutrition programs is important to our province. We were the first to sign on for this program because it matters. The Conservatives voted against it. One Conservative called it garbage. It does feed children, it matters, and I'm asking this member, are they going to vote with us when the time comes?
The honourable member for Brampton Centre.
Mr. Speaker, Canadians depend on personal support workers every day, whether they're in long-term care homes, retirement residences, or community settings. These workers deserve fair recognition for the critical care they provide. Can the Minister update this House on how Budget 2025 will help strengthen the PSW workforce and ensure they're supported and rewarded for their vital contributions?
The Minister of Jobs and Families.
Mr. Speaker, this morning I was at Extendicare with a number of personal support workers as we announced this measure of support for the very workers that care for our loved ones. And Kelly, one of the support workers, said, you know, people talk all the time about the importance of the work, but this is the first time we've ever felt like someone's doing something for us. And so, Mr. Speaker, I'm just so thrilled to say that we will be supporting personal support workers with a refundable tax credit of $1,100 a year. And, Mr. Speaker, what's more is we'll make sure that those workers are not just feeling supported, but are supported in the workplace.
The honourable member for Louis Saint Laurent, Akiawenlak. Mr. Speaker, you know, we thought we'd seen everything at the CRA, but yesterday, Radio-Canada and Daniel Leblanc told us that the CRA had given money to a business that had asked for money back, and it wasn't verified by workers. Do you know how much money was sent out? $4.99 million. Almost $5 million, Mr. Speaker. And do you know who realized that? Well, not the CRA. It was TD Bank, Mr. Speaker. So the banks are doing the work of the CRA. It doesn't make any sense, but that's 10 years of Liberal mismanagement. Is there anyone on that team who's going to rise and dare to defend this?
The Honourable Secretary of State for Financial Institutions
Speaker,
and the Canada Revenue
abuse of the tax system is illegal, and the CRA takes enforcement action when instances of abuse are identified. While we cannot comment on matters before the courts, Canadians can be assured that the CRA is maintaining the integrity of the tax system and preventing misuse of sensitive data. Canada's new government is committed to working with the CRA to continue to strengthen the integrity of our tax system and protect taxpayer dollars. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
The honourable member for Edmonton Strathcona.
Mr. Speaker, Albertans are being charged $100 for COVID-19 vaccination, while other Canadians are getting their vaccinations for free. The Canada Health Act guarantees access to necessary health services for everyone, regardless of where they live. But this government is doing nothing while premiers break the law and Canadians' health suffers. I wrote to the Prime Minister about this months ago, and I have yet to hear back from him. So I'm asking the Prime Minister today, why is he refusing to enforce the Canada Health Act so Canadians get the health care they deserve?
The Honourable Minister of Health. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. So I'd like to say to my colleague that We indeed believe in vaccines. The science is very clear on vaccines. We are working closely with the provinces and territories to accelerate vaccination rates. Vaccines, which are necessary, which are absolutely necessary, are covered by the provinces, and I am working with her province of Alberta to increase vaccination rates in that province. Thank you.
That brings question period to an end. And we'll take a few minutes to allow members to leave the chamber quietly. And while I'm on my feet, I'd like to remind members that the volume of earpieces will now be reset. Once again, if you could leave quickly and quietly, please.
OK. Affaires courantes, ordinaires, dépôt de documents.
Routine proceedings. Tabling of documents. Introduction of government bills. Colleagues, could you please leave quietly? Statements by ministers. Reports from interparliamentary delegations.
Présentation de rapport de...
Presenting reports from committees.
Introduction of private members' bills. First reading of Senate public bills. Motions. Mr. Brassard, seconded by Mr. Jackson, moves that the third report of the Standing Committee on Access to Information, Privacy and Ethics, presented on Monday, September 22nd, 2025, be concurred in. Debate.